Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to go solo again, and we are going to talk about common roadblocks to recovery after divorce. The road to recovery, it is paved with stones and boulders. But because divorce is so common, society expects us to suck it up or get over it quickly. And oftentimes, we think there's something wrong with us if we have not snapped back to our usual chirpy self within a few short months. Well, listen in as I share 3 common roadblocks to recovering after divorce. This is the Silver Divorce Podcast, broadcast from the Whitfield Media Group studios in Chattanooga, Tennessee, proudly brought to you by our title sponsor, the Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and show sponsor, Medicare Misty. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the area's leading provider of multi-specialty orthopedic care. Using innovative surgical techniques and technologies, our team of specialists deliver exceptional results backed by exceptional patient care. Learn more at sportmed.com. And Medicare Misty is a real person who can help answer your Medicare questions. Get real help from her team at MedicareMisty.com. I'm your host, Lisa McCluskey, and now let's podcast. Well, the truth about recovering after divorce is it's not a straight line. You will have your good days when you think, I'm progressing, it's going well, and then the next day you'll be ruminating about all the things that he said or she said, all of the hurts and the pains, and you will take a few steps back. The time it takes you to recover, though, is different from anybody else's. Somebody may have appeared to recover quickly and move on to a new relationship, and you may be a year later still trying to recover. There is no set rule for how long it takes to recover from a traumatic divorce. Your journey is your journey, and we do know there are some common roadblocks, though, things that everybody goes through that you might want to keep in mind because they are some things that keep us from recovering. The first is low self-esteem. Perhaps you were with that partner who belittled you or undervalued you, criticized you, and you might have started to believe that narrative. You took on the role of being the inner critic, and the only way to overcome that is to start delving into your positives and really identifying the root cause of where that criticism comes from. Once you understand where that criticism comes from, you can begin to consider those negative things you heard about yourself and how they're distorted or how they're untrue. And this is when the old adage, consider the source, is never more true. Write down that negative thing. Identify where's that coming from and why. And start to think about what do you like about yourself. Give yourself compliments. I know it does seem crazy, but it all goes back to changing that internal narrative about yourself. One of the things I recently did was I downloaded an affirmation app. And, it sounds crazy to stand there and tell yourself you love yourself. But this app that I downloaded, it takes you through many aspects of your life. And every day I go through and I read affirmations and I try to start my day with a positive mindset about myself. So it does work. I can tell you, once you start doing it, you start to believe a positive narrative about yourself, then you will start to have a different perspective on what's happened to you and why. And the second thing is unresolved conflict. According to the Mental Health Foundation, unresolved conflict can exacerbate feelings of isolation and loneliness, and, it leads to a decline in our overall well-being. Once we are isolated and all we think about is the traumatic divorce and the things that we did wrong, you will start to disintegrate almost mentally. So And you have to think about your interactions with your ex-spouse. Are they continuing to exacerbate that source of conflict? You might need to protect yourself by starting to establish some clear boundaries and, consider going no contact. If you have to communicate, stay calm and focus on the topic at hand. Don't let that spouse drag you into an emotional interaction. You can actually, just not respond with an emotional outburst. That'll escalate the situation. If your ex has an emotional outburst, calmly state the issue that needs to be addressed. Keep going back. The issue we're here to talk about today is, and don't get sucked into that emotional tit for tat, if you will. And then if that person can't regulate their emotions, let them know you're going to end the conversation and do it and say, I'm going to end the conversation. We're not addressing the issue we need to address. We'll come back to it later. Then you can always send an email. You can outline it, and then you can offer 2 or 3 suggestions to choose from. Instead of every conversation just degenerating into a repetition of the ills or the wrongs of the relationship, try to stay very focused on why you need to have the conversation, what's the problem that needs to be solved, and maybe you offer 2 or 3 solutions for that person to choose from. That person, they did lose their right to have you tolerate their behavior. Remember that. They lost their right for you to tolerate their bad behavior. You may have done it during the marriage, but once that's over, they no longer have that right for you to stand by and tolerate how they treat you. And then the third thing is fear of making major decisions. After divorce, big decisions such as relocating, changing jobs, or even small decisions on spending money can be overwhelming. And one of the reasons for that is we just fear making a mistake, or going back to number 1, we have low confidence in our own abilities. That person who maybe demeaned us or belittled us makes us feel as though we're not capable of making decisions. But according to leadership guru Tony Robbins, switch your narrative from this is happening to me to what can happen for me? What can happen for me if I make this decision? And he suggests writing down the decision that needs to be made, get clear about your feelings and what you want and why you want it, and let go of fear. So write it down. What is it that you want? Why do you want it? What are your options? And once you start to let go of fear, you'll have more clarity around decision making. Decisions, they don't have to be perfect. They just have to be made. So once you gain clarity around what is being said about you, you can begin to change your internal narrative. With that comes the confidence to start making decisions that will lead you to a more peaceful and happy life. Please join me on the next episode of the Silver Divorce Podcast. Before we go, please leave a rating and a review. And this is something that is very important to attract great guests and to continue to grow. Whether you are considering divorce or maybe you're newly in the divorce process, we'll help you on your journey and tell you things your attorney might not tell you. Until next time, remember, divorce, it's just one event. It does not define who you are. I'm Lisa, and I'll see you next time.